Welcome back to the set, everybody. Today's a unique one. It's like draft day or game day, and here's my number one pick for compilations this year. Actually, it's like number 4. Let's be real. But Nate has some compilations
I don't like you doing the intro for my episode.
Well, I don't like you being on my set.
I don't like you being taller than me.
Well, I don't like the fact that you don't like being on my set.
I like all 3 of these steak videos you're about to watch.
Okay, I do like this.
I was on QVC not too long ago, and we had a call-in, which was really cool, live call-in, and someone said, "Can you do Penwheels on..." She didn't sound like that. I don't know why I made it. She was lovely. She was wonderful. She asked if we could do Penwheels, and I was like, I've never actually done Penwheels on the show, ever, not once. So we're doing Penwheels. Let me show you how I like to do it. Before we get to our steak, we're using skirt steak, I do want to get to my onions. This is the filling before we get to the main attraction, as you will. Decent cut here, a little like a thick julienne or so. Salt and pepper, a little olive oil on the griddle. Let that cook down. Let's go 4 minutes, 5 minutes, toss it a few times. We don't want to go full caramelized. We're not looking for French onion soup here, but we do want them to soften up a little bit and bring out some of the natural sweetness. While that's cruising, let's chop up a decent amount of garlic. We said this in the past, if a chef says 2 cloves, use 5. Or he's gonna use 5. That's just a lot of garlic. That's how it works. Don't be too concerned with chopping it up super tiny. It is gonna be filling. It will be delicious no matter how big or small it is. Throw that in at the end, like the last 2 minutes, for our onions. Toss it around a few times. That's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking for toasted, caramelized, softened onions and garlic. While that's finishing up, we also have our red bell pepper. Remove the seeds. I do want a thin julienne on this. It's gonna go in the middle, it's gonna wrap, it's gonna give us some color, some contrast. We're not adding a ton, so it's not a ton of flavor, but it is gonna give us a really beautiful color. Today I'm using inside skirt steak. It's pretty flat, right? It kind of rolls out, but we do want to flatten it even more. But here's a little trick. Season it first. So we're pounding the seasoning into it. Today I'm using the High Plains steak. It's got thick granules. It's really delicious. If you haven't tried it yet, pick some up. Parchment paper and a mallet. We're going to flatten this out as much as possible. Try to keep your mallet nice and flat. If you kind of go in at an angle, you're just going to start breaking the meat apart. Now when we're done, this is what we have. Let's start loading this bad boy up. Go ahead and grab those gorgeous, stunning onions and go right down the center. Now, it's okay if you overfill a little bit, some's gonna fall out, but you want as much inside as possible. Honestly, you can put whatever you want into this. I mean, I've got spinach and red peppers and some provolone, but you could take this any direction you wanted to. You could throw bacon in here, you could do cheddar, you could do a million different things, but this is the basic technique. Now, when we're rolling this up, start from the thinnest side possible. It's kind of like making sushi, delicious beef sushi. Roll and pull tight, roll and pull tight, roll and pull tight. Fold some cheese over if it's hanging out, just get it all in there as much as possible. So what we're left with is kind of this roulade, this roll. Now I've got some butcher's twine. We're gonna tie this in 2 different spots to hold each individual steak together. It's gonna give us that spiral. So make sure you tie them pretty tight. If you tie them too tight though, stuff will start to squeeze out one end or the other. Tight enough to hold it, how about that? Once we're tied off, add a good bit more seasoning on the outside. The seasoning on the inside is important, don't forget that step. Of course, we gotta season the outside. Then if you want, if you were doing a much bigger version, you can cut this into multiple pieces, but I like a big, fat cut here. Like this is a decent hunk of meat. Right down the center, and then trim off the edges so we have 2 flat sides. I mean, it looks beautiful as is. Give it a bit more seasoning. Now here's the part, you don't want to go too high of a heat, otherwise your cheese and all your vegetables will burn as that sliced flat layer of the steak starts to cook. So medium heat, medium-ish heat. Once that goes on, let it cook for, I would say 4 minutes on the first side, maybe a little bit more if you like a well-done steak. Then flip it. What you're looking for, again, don't let the cheese burn. If it falls out the side, that's great. Crispy cheese skirt never hurt nobody, Andy. Everyone loves a good crispy cheese skirt. Crispy, you know what I said, that thing. However, I do want to bring it off the direct heat and cook with ambient heat. So adding like a cookie sheet, it raises the steak up. We still get the ambient heat. We add a dome, now we're kind of finishing the cook. Let's go 10 minutes or so. A little bit longer if you like it well done, a little bit less if you like it rare. But what we're left with is this gorgeous little, it looks like fancy stuff. I don't like that word fancy, Andy. But I think this is it.
Yeah,
It's,
that's what it
it's
is. It's
fancy.
fancy.
Be sure before you serve to cut off the little bit, the butcher's twine. Almost forgot the word, Andy. Cut off the butcher's twine. And if you want to, just like slice it open. Serve it before slicing, right? Serve it whole. But when you slice it open, you get to see all the goodies. You got the cheese, you got the onions, the peppers, the color. It's really, really gorgeous. It's a fun thing if you've never tried it. So to that lovely caller on QVC, this is how I like to do it. Here we are again with another TikTok tested. We got a few comments like people.
I like these, man. These are fun.
Some people don't like them. I think they're fun.
Those
for
people are wrong.
We'll find out today. I'm just like you. Someone's scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through TikTok, whatever platform you like, and you're like, "Oh, that looks good." Oh, I don't know. Is your feed full of food?
That's all it is, man.
Your
Just
feed full of food to feed.
your family.
I like alliteration. Today I had a fun one. Flake Steak, not flank. Flake Steak. Let's TikTok test it and see how it does. I definitely want to start with all of my mise en place before getting to my steak. I have a feeling this is going to be a very, very quick cook. Now I've only seen a few different channels do this, but they all pretty much do the same thing. I'm adding some shiitake mushrooms and some green onions. I just want to toast them up. Are you a fan of shiitake mushrooms, Andy?
Love them.
I'm a huge fan of shiitake mushrooms and green onions too. Using this little technique, it just makes them look a little bit nicer. It's all about presentation. There's not a lot of moving parts on this dish, so I do want to have all of my prep ready, including a little glaze that I'm gonna do at the very, very end. This is simple, a small little bowl. I've got soy sauce, I've got a bit of sesame oil. I'm using ginger and garlic paste. They're not the same. Like ginger gives us a punch, while garlic gives us more of a rich flavor. And then debatable here, have you tried this extra hot honey?
I've never done extra hot.
I'm going with the extra hot honey.
Feeling
I'm feeling like I want some extra heat. Mix that all together and we're good to go. Now it's time to get to our steak. Today I am using a pretty thick, it's like a 2 pound, maybe almost just under 2 pound boneless ribeye. And I'm gonna do what I saw on TikTok. We're doing it just the way I saw it, sliced nice and thin. I am a little worried about this fatty end, Andy. I don't know if it's gonna stack. I think the guy I saw had a different trim. Maybe he just had the eye, like with the decal cut off. Either way, we're going thin. Once we're thin, let's stack them. Let's see what we do. Yeah, let's pull the little fat end off.
Yeah,
So we have like a
clean it up a little bit.
uniform look. We're going chefy. That's the word you like, Andy?
I do it.
Going chefy. Stack them up. Let's start with 4. I'm thinking we cut this in half and then add a skewer. I really like the way this is looking already. I've never done a steak like
This
this.
looks nice.
It's pretty cool looking. Let's do a bunch. You guys hungry? Let's do a bunch. I have a feeling this is gonna be good. This looks like I don't know. I can't be sure if it's gonna be
I think it'd be
good.
good.
Clean up the edges, make it look really, really nice.
It'll be at least good.
It'll be at least good. I like that. Blackstone blackened steak over the tops of each. I think we're gonna cook these really quick, but I wanna make sure we have that gorgeous dark crust. The blackened's gonna help us with that. Let's do it. Let's do it. We in? High heat. Griddle set to stun. A bit of oil goes down and down with our skew. Can we call them skewers? I was gonna call them kebabs a minute ago.
Yeah, they're more
There's
of a
something,
skewer.
meat on a stick. Put those down. While those are cruising, let's go ahead and get to our mushrooms. Butter, salt, pepper, garlic, simple. I don't want to do too much to this. Let's do a decent amount of butter here. The mushrooms really soak up the butter. As they lose some of their moisture, it kind of replaces with the butter. It soaks it up, which is really nice. Let's flip one of these over. It's only been about 30 seconds. Let's see what we're looking
That
at.
was quick. Holy cow.
Very, very fast. Crispy, crusty goodness. This is fun. And then our green onions, and let these guys cruise. Don't forget about that gorgeous little sweet, hot, soy, salty glaze. All the stuff
You
glaze.
fit all of it in there.
All the things. Put just a little bit. Remember, we seasoned our kebabs, whatever we're gonna call them, sticks, meat on a stick. We seasoned them already. So the soy is gonna be a bit salty, so go light. We just want an additional touch, an additional kick of flavor. Maybe kind of like fold them around a little bit, or like fold them, I don't mean fold, like rub them around. Once we're looking perfect, I think we're good to start plating. Let's start with our mushrooms down on the plate, kind of like a bed of beautiful, gorgeous umami flavor. You know, with these mushrooms and the beef, this is beefy. It's gonna be a beefy dish, super beefy. Then the onions on top. If I were serving this like as an appetizer for a party, I probably wouldn't. I'd skip the vegetables altogether, or maybe I'd make separate little skewers of vegetables and serve them side by
That's a
side.
fun idea.
That'd be cool. But I am gonna do one plate. I made too many, so let's put 3 over the green onions, make a nice little plate presentation, and toss the others up here on the front of the cutting board. This is really cool. I do want to add one more little thing. gochujang and sesame seeds. If you've never had gochujang, think of it like a sweet, kind of a more rich sriracha, and it's not quite as hot either. It's really nice. There we go. We did a thing, Andy. We did a thing.
We did it.
There are probably a million ways to cook a steak. We get stuck in a rut sometimes. We do the steak the same way because we find something we like, but every once in a while you can pull out an old classic like cowboy butter on a filet. Very, very simple to do, and it just might elevate your steak game. Let me show you how I like to do it. I'm gonna start with these two gorgeous fillets. Now, a filet does not have a ton of fat, which makes it a very delicate cut, which is nice, which is why it's expensive. But that's why we're adding all the butter and the flavor later. But I do wanna do two-stage seasoning here. I'm starting with the blackened and then the two-toe. Two-stage seasoning is nice because you've got one salty and then you've got one herby, so you're kind of layering your flavors. Just make sure to get it on every single inch of these beautiful steaks. I've got my griddle set to stun high heat, right? We want that gorgeous sear. A little bit of oil and toss those steaks down. Now let's talk about our butter. This is simple. This is not difficult. We're starting with butter. A lot of butter. It's basically 2 sticks of butter, but to this I want to add a ton of fun ingredients. I've got garlic. Don't worry about how perfect your knife cut is here. We just want some minced garlic. Minced garlic and some minced shallot. Now, shallot and garlic are both in the same flavor family, but they are slightly different. Shallots have a bit more sweetness, so they compound that garlicky flavor better. Does that make sense? It makes sense, right, CJ?
Totally.
Pop that onto the griddle right next to our steaks and let it start cruising. Now, herbs. Let's talk about herbs real quick. You ever pulled the leaves off of thyme? It's very difficult. Just throw the whole thing in there. However, I do want to chop up my chives. Nice thin little cuts of chives. I've also got some parsley as well. Let's not add that yet, but you do want that chopped up and ready to go for what we're gonna do in just a second. Let's grab a lemon. I want zest and juice, but let's do the zest first. It's always easier to zest your lemon before you slice it. It's just, it's science, right, CJ? CJ knows. Totally science. But I do also want the juice. So zest and juice zest of a whole lemon, juice of half of a lemon. It may seem like a lot, but I do have 5 more things to add. I've got some ancho chili, but chipotle will do just fine, or cayenne. I've got some smoked paprika. Smoked is nice because it adds a smokier flavor. And I've also got some crushed red pepper. Now, skip these if you don't like the heat. Just go with chili powder, right? That's a good substitute. I've also got some prepared horseradish. This is gonna give us a zesty kick, which is gorgeous, and a bit of Dijon. I like the Dijon that has little bits of the mustard seeds still in it. And that's pretty much it here. We're gonna give this a beautiful mix and let it cruise. Let all those flavors start to come together. Don't let it cook too hard, but bubbles are okay. Soft, gentle bubbles. That's what we're looking for. Cook your steaks as long as you like, but with a gorgeous cut like filet, I'm a medium rare to rare kind of guy. Let it rest before we cut it, and we can pull the sauce over and just let it chill for a bit. Once your steak is rested and you start to slice it, there's a few things you could do here. You could slice it into bite-sized pieces. You could toss it in the board sauce. You could serve it as an appetizer or as an entree. I'm going old school. I'm leaving everything on the cutting board. But when you get to this place where you're about to eat it and you look at what you've created, it's like one of those, like, okay, this is new, this is different, but most importantly, let's see if it's delicious. Oh yeah. Oh. Okay, so if you've never dipped your steak in straight cowboy butter, you're missing out. Lights out. Lights out delicious. I almost don't even want any vegetables. I don't need vegetables. This is a high protein diet. I want a plate of steak and cowboy butter, just dip that all day long. Oh man, that is crazy, crazy good. Thank you all so much for hanging out. This one is, I don't know, describe this one. How would you describe this, Andy?
Special, dude.
Special, dude. This one's special, dude. That's it. In the comments down below, let me know. Just say special, dude, if you're gonna make this at home. This one's good. Thank you again for hanging out. So take your steak game into new levels. Try new things. The steak was very simple. There was nothing difficult about the way we cooked our steak, but adding all this flavor into our butter, magical. Straight magic. Straight magic. Thanks for hanging out. That's all I got. Let me know in the comments, what would you like to learn about in the future? Let me know if you love it, like it, share it, do all the things, all the stuff, all the social media stuff. This is Cook, Eat, Repeat, where we like to help you become a better cook, one recipe at a time. I'm your host, Chef Nathan Lippy, and I'll see you all in the next episode. You gotta try this, CJ. This is right up your alley, dude.